Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
I hope you're doing well today. It is Taco Tuesday. Or, if you don't eat tacos, it is April the 7th. But it is a Tuesday, though. Anyway, I hope you're staying safe out there, washing your hands, keeping your hands away from your face, and so forth. Doing the acceptable social distancing that we've all come to know and love. Now, I put up an invitation a few videos back about if you had a question or anything like that. If you wanted to post your question as a comment in one of my videos, I'll be happy to try to answer it for you. Or you could email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com. And I have a couple questions I was going to answer before I get into what I wanted to talk about. But the first one is from my good friend, my good Iraqi friend, Abdullah, who is a very inquisitive young man. He seems to ask a lot of questions, so that's always good. Anyway, his question is there a relationship between Maitreya and the 2030 Sustainable Project? Now, I looked up what that was, and it's coming, if what he's asking about is the UN 2030 Sustainable Project, then more than likely, it was inspired by one or other of these masters, because it's right in line with Maitreya's priorities, which is ending poverty. Now, I certainly hope that it will be sooner than 2030 when we end poverty. I think it's a necessity that we have to do that, but until humanity decides to take the step into sharing, poverty will still be a curse that we have to deal with. The other thing I wanted to say about this is that when it comes to projects and ideas that are in line with these masters' priorities, and which is, of course, in line with if it's in line with one or other of these masters' priorities, it's in line with Maitreya's priority, because he's the master of all the masters, really. So it would be the way that these masters normally work, get their work out there, get their plans and their ideas out to help humanity, and what they've been doing for eons. Now, the plan is shifting and it's changing, because these masters are about to be open out in the world along with Maitreya, teaching humanity directly. But the way that they've done it for eons is they plant a seed, they plant a thought form out there, and those who are capable of picking up on that thought form, even if they're unaware of the fact that they are picking up on a thought form, they pick up on it, take it, run with it. Sometimes they distort it and make it, kind of personal to them and try to claim ownership of that idea or whatever. But those ideas are sent out there by these masters, and that's how their work has been getting out there for so long. Now, other higher disciples like Benjamin Creme or Leonardo da Vinci or Mozart or Jesus or Muhammad, they work telepathically, directly, moment to moment with one or other of these masters to help get their higher work out there. But for most disciples, by far, their inspiration is they're being led by by inspiration of these masters, and being inspired by them in some kind of way, but done more from a thought form aspect. So they're unaware of the fact that they're even working with these masters. They just have this idea, okay, well, I think poverty is something that should end by 2030. So how do I do that? And then they create a group of people and they do, that kind of thing. So yeah, I do probably more than I told him initially that I didn't know. But when I started looking at it, I would say, yeah, probably there is for lack of a better word, a relationship between Maitreya and the 2030 Sustainable Project. But I hope it's the 2020 Sustainable Project, really. Now, the next question that somebody asked is by Jerry Wells. And he said, do you think the masters could, even behind the scenes, help with stopping or slowing the virus? And, that's up to the masters and it's up to our free will. But since he asked me what do I think yes, they could. If it's best for humanity to have the effects of the virus mitigated. Now, these masters are the angels. They're the ones that have been helping save people from all sorts of disasters and so forth, or falling off of ladders, such as myself. But when times of earthquakes and tsunamis and tornadoes, those masters are always there to help those who can benefit from them. They help them as best they can. Things like earthquakes and hurricanes and tsunamis and so forth, and of course this virus, are karmic, really. And if you look at karma, it goes all the way, it goes through the whole spectrum. So it goes from an individual, then there's family karma, of course, then there's group karma, racial karma, national karma, and then, of course, international or world karma. Well, I mean, it's safe to say that this virus is a world karma that we have to deal with. I also think that they could mitigate and slow or stop the virus from affecting certain individuals based on their karma, for sure. But globally, this global pandemic, if it's something that they can do, they will do. But if it's better for us to go through it, then they will let us go through it, because they know that disease and death have a purpose, and they don't fear disease and death the way that we do. We don't have quite the understanding of illness and death the way that the masters do. The other thing has to do with of course, the direct ramifications of the virus, like the stock market, and the markets of the world taking a nosedive, and of course all the unemployment that's getting ready to come, and the fact that people are out of work and having to stay at home, and their businesses are doing very well and so forth, which is, I would say, karmic as well, But the one of the things that Benjamin Crime's master said back a decade and a little bit ago, the last time we went through something similar to this, right? He said if we had just worked together and started to share the world's resources, we would never have to deal with a global stock market meltdown again. And we haven't learned our lesson, and we kind of went right back into what we were doing for so many decades the last time this happened. So if, economically, I'm thinking this could be the last time we have to deal with this, because I think this is going to, it's kind of like a two-prong attack, really, or two-prong bitch slap, really, is, the virus and the economic situation that we're all in today. But I do think in the end, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this will be the last time we have to deal with it, because if we could just learn to share the world's resources the way that we should have been doing all along, things like this we would not have to go through, or they wouldn't be quite as serious, So it's all a learning process, and humanity's got a tough nut, and sometimes, that nut needs to be cracked with a sledgehammer. So this virus and this, global stock market meltdown is the sledgehammer, and we have to realize that we have to learn to live together. But if it's best for us to go through it, then the masters will of course let us go through it, and so we learn the lessons and we won't come back to this again. But we're on the precipice, we're there, and we had talked about this on the channel many times, about the choice of humanity, that humanity has to make the choice, and that all the succeeding generations are not waiting on it, but it's their life is dependent upon the choice that we make. This is going to be known as the generation of choice, the generation that made the choice to either go into the new age and learn to live together as one family, or not. And the or not is too terrible to even talk about. It would mean the end of life on this planet. So we will be known as that generation. And I think that this virus, and I think that this global stock market meltdown are all part of us helping to make the right choice, really, because it was so easy after the last time we found ourselves in this economic problem, to go right back into the way it was. It was so easy. They just went right back into it. And then the stock market went higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. But yet it was becoming harder and harder and harder for people to make ends meet. And ecologically things were getting worse and so forth. And so I think that this pandemic is just a sledgehammer. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the masters, of course, know about this. Maitreya and the masters know about this. They are watching it with great interest and concern, of course. But yet they know the best thing for humanity, whether it is to mitigate it and slow it down, or stop it even, or to let us go through it. And we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I think also, individually, absolutely, depending upon the person's karma and what's best for them individually, these masters will help as much as they possibly can. Now, what I wanted to talk about today was kind of funny is I was going to talk about politics a little bit. And I know people always get upset when I bash Trump, and I'm not bashing Trump on this. I will say this. If you've paid attention to this channel, you know my opinions of Trump, but also at the same time, I have to say my heart really goes out to him, because of what he has to deal with right now. I think, his chickens are coming home to roost too, just like it is for the United States. But, I can't imagine what he's having to go through because, nothing's working, so, and the old ways aren't working. And the masters talked about that for so many years, that Benjamin Creme's master, that the old ways of the past are crumbling. And then eventually it will just, whatever they try will not work at all. And it'll just crumble again because the new structures need to be built. Just as Maitreya said, the new wine needs, he said the old bottles need to be broken because the new wine deserves better. Well, that new wine is the energy of Aquarius. The old structures are the bottle, and we need to destroy the bottle to allow to put the new wine, the better wine, in a new bottle, really, which is the new structures of taking care of everybody. The new structures of Aquarius and so forth is what he was talking about. But I was going to say a joke real quick because I called my mom to play a practical joke on her the other day. And if you're not from the United States, we're about, if you've paid taxes over the past few years, we're all about to get a check of up to $1,200, depending upon how much you made per year, and then $500 for each child in the family. So it'd be $1,200 for the husband and $1,200 for the wife, and then $500 for the child to help us get through not working over most of us aren't working over the last month or so, right? So if you remember the impeachment of Donald Trump, the main thing that the Democrats were trying to pin on Donald Trump was this phone call that he had with the Ukrainian president, where he said, "Can you do us a favor and find, and do an investigation or announce an investigation against the Bidens," right? So I called my mom and I played this practical joke with her. You might not think it's funny. She didn't think it's funny until I told her what I was doing. And then she kind of laughed about it. But I said, "Did you hear what Donald Trump said the other day?" She said, "What?" I said, "This whole stimulus check, right? The $1,200. She said, "Yeah." He said, "I need everybody to do us a favor and find as much dirt on the Bidens as you can, and then I'll give you the money." I thought it was kind of funny. But the reason why I bring this joke up is not to rib Trump, because I know he's got enough problems as it is. But I think that this country and the world and around the world, from their respective leaders, are looking for their political leaders to give that one statement. The Brits, during World War II, keep calm and carry on. Or, what Churchill said, we'll fight them on the beaches. Or, what Roosevelt said, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, right after Pearl Harbor and so forth. JFK, ask not what your country can do for you. The list goes on and on and on. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, how that changed the course of the war and helped to heal and bring people together. Just his little simple Gettysburg Address. And I think the people of the nations, especially here in the United States, are looking to our leaders for that type of leadership and that type of inspiration. And I was thinking yesterday about this and how, Donald Trump is not a Lincoln. He's not a Kennedy. He's not a Roosevelt or a Churchill. Those were incredibly advanced disciples, even during the time that they lived, but even now, which, it wasn't really what they said, but who was saying it and how they were saying it, and the energy and the will behind what they were saying that inspired their nation or brought their nation together, or to make it through a crisis or whatever it happens to be. Anyway, well, I just happened to open up my book, A Master Speaks, and the article and I had never read this article before, but the article is entitled "The Emergence of Great Servers," and I started reading it, and I was like, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. So anyway, we are going to talk about this, and I'm going to end this video because it's getting a little long, but I'm going to end this video with reading this article. It's called The Emergence of Great Servers, and it was written by Benjamin Crum's master, and it comes from it's one of the ideas of the masters, really, in April of 1986. And real quick, look forward to talking to you again. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon. The Emergence of Great Servers. There comes a time in the history of each nation when its soul quality begins to manifest itself more powerfully and to give rise to the appearance of major figures in the realms of art and science, politics or religion. When this happens, we see the emergence of influential men and women who give color and coherence to a nation's endeavors. Deeply creative, they inspire those around them with their vision and help to create the culture of their time. They are the disciples and initiates who articulate for others the genius of their nation. At the present time, we await the arrival of such powerful figures on the world stage. Trained by senior members of the esoteric hierarchy, they now exists a group of spiritually oriented men and women equipped to deal effectively with the problems of the time. When the call sounds forth, which soon it will, they will take up their work for which they have been prepared, the reconstruction of our planetary life along entirely new lines. Working in all fields, this group of dedicated disciples will show the way for humanity to follow. Coming as they do from many nations, they will be able to focus and channel the aspirations of all people for a world of peace and justice. They are, for the most part, unknown at present, but soon their names and work will bring a light to men's eyes, inspiring them with hope and expectation of a better future. They work today unseen, but are ready to put their gifts and training at the service of the race. They will be known for their altruistic love and wise judgment, for their sense of duty and dedication to their task. Trained by the masters, they will reflect something of their detachment and knowledge, bringing a new rhythm and order into our chaotic world. Shortly, from the blueprint of the future now descending, will precipitate the forms of a new civilization. Each nation has a part to play, bringing to the structure of the whole its own particular voice. In this, the United Nations will play a vital role, coordinating the plans for reconstruction and redistribution. Even now, despite the limitations imposed on it by the major powers, the contribution to the world peace made by the United Nations is great. Its agencies educate and bring succor to millions in many lands. As a forum for world debate, its position is unique and priceless. Sad would be the day, and great would be the loss to humanity were the nations to lose faith in this institution, central as it is to the working out of the divine plan. Many expect Maitreya and the Masters to right all wrongs and to transform the world. That they will show the way, guide, and inspire cannot be gainsayed. That their light and wisdom will be placed at the service of humanity is equally true. But the work of transformation must be undertaken by humanity itself, cheerfully accepting the changes and sacrifices which must ensue. Only through such willing acceptance can the changes take hold and create the conditions for a new and better life for man. To lead the way and to build the foundations of the New Age structures are emerging now the trained architects of the coming civilization. Recognize them by their desire to serve, their wisdom, and their manifested love. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.